All right, I believe I am live on YouTube right now. I think there's also a Facebook live stream going from my personal Facebook account. If you happen to be friends with me on Facebook, it's a public stream as well. So if you search my name, you can find it. But I do want to say I'll only be answering questions from YouTube because that's what I have on my computer. That's what I have my keyboard with. My phone's sitting way far away from me. So if you are on Facebook, you can search Pain Explained via Posture. This event will come up on Facebook. It'll take you to a page that has this YouTube link. Press that YouTube link, you'll end up here. If you're already joining me on YouTube, thanks for joining me. Again, go ahead, and if you want to ask questions, you can, or just comment, you can subscribe to my channel there should be a button right down here somewhere. Wait 1 minute and it'll allow you to start commenting. That will hopefully maybe have too high of an opinion of myself, but maybe it'll prevent some spam. So my name is John Clark. I am a Certified Postural Alignment Specialist with the Posture Pain Connection. And I am here today to do a live question and answer session if anyone ends up joining. But if not, I do have a plan of things to talk about regardless. And as I put in the description for this, I want to talk about a topic I'm really passionate about, and that is teaching parents how they can prevent their kids from having postural problems later on in their life. And those postural problems will eventually show up as chronic pain conditions, chronic fatigue syndrome, things that we call fibromyalgia, that we call age-related joint pain. But if no matter our age, we can potentially we can potentially avoid most of these things that people just accept that getting old has to hurt. It doesn't have to hurt, and you have so much control over what your experience is as you age regarding how you take care of your musculoskeletal system. And I'm going to be talking about how you parents out there can help your kids learn how to do that. And I'm going to be using a resource. You don't have to pay me. You can go buy this book that was already written on the subject. I know it's called Pain Free for Women. Maybe it's mirror imaged here, but this is Pain Free for Women. And they have multiple chapters in this book about dealing with postural and musculoskeletal dysfunction in children. And in fact, there's even some tips for starting when they're babies in terms of, playing with small objects, the things that we naturally do with children anyways, a lot of the time. But there's a reason that we naturally do it and we have instincts to do it. It's because the primitive humans who did these types of things with their kids, well, those kids were able to survive, right? We can do things like the Superman and sitting up straight, and then you progress all the way to things for middle childhood where it becomes more game-like things where you can have your kids crab walk and race each other, things like that. Even leapfrog is in here. But this is all for the younger kids, and this is great for keeping your kids going when they're maybe up to 10 to 12 years old. But what we're going to find more and more as technology starts to dominate the lives of our young people, that they are starting to suffer from motion starvation at younger and younger ages. Because what do we have them do? Well, we just have them sit at desks at school all day long. When they come home, they have their iPads and their TVs, and they're watching their YouTube videos, and they're watching their favorite things on Netflix. And now, my niece, she's 12. Sometimes she has like 4 or 5 hours of homework in a night. So let's think about this. She's going to school, sitting there for like 6 to 8 hours potentially, not using her hips, not using her shoulders properly, not using her feet and her knees. And then we send her home, and she has like 30 minutes to maybe play with her sisters before she has to sit down and do homework again for the rest of the evening. And this is going to present problems. In fact, this is already caused a problem for her that I'm using a lot of the advice from this book to fix. She hurt her knee just a few weeks ago, and I've been administering postural therapy to her, and she's already improving, and she's going back to doing cheerleading some nights per week, when a few weeks ago she was on crutches. So the kids will respond to this stuff really quickly. You just need to know what to do with them. And I used things from this book and things from Pain Free as the starting place for treating her. She had knee pain with internal rotation of the femurs, and there's a great menu to address that. I added some more things that I learned about treating kids from in here, and also, of course, lots of things that I have from my postural therapy certification education. But she would have progressed maybe a little bit slower with just the stuff from these two books, very certainly. So I really want to talk more about exactly why these things work. So when we start looking at postural deviations, they come from, like I was talking about, motion starvation. So we just need to start giving the body the right type of stimulus. Before I go any further, I want to say, if you are watching on the Facebook camera over there, go ahead and search Pain Explained via Posture Live on YouTube, or you can find my YouTube link in a post I made this morning, and you can come over and ask me questions. This is a live Q&A. You can ask me questions if you come to the YouTube page and subscribe to the channel. You can ask me anything you want. Until then, I'm just going to start or continue talking about this subject. So what about for someone like my niece's age? Well, they also have teens menus in here, 3 different menus for teenagers that you can do in progression to start restoring the body to its functional design, the musculoskeletal system to its functional design. So we have, we start with just something as simple as standing at wall, it's called. Well, that may not sound like anything too revolutionary, but just yesterday I was at a soccer game, and I saw one kid out of the 2 teams whose head wasn't sitting at least a couple inches forward of his shoulders. 1 out of 22 kids on both teams. And one of the kids, he's running around with his head, the back of his head hanging over the front of his shoulders almost. It was a very severe postural deviation. I found his mom, and I told her about this book. She actually that happened to be related to my girlfriend, but that was just kind of happenstance. I told her about this book. I showed her these menus right here. Standing at wall, that's a great place to start for someone whose head is shifted forward. And all of our kids are looking at phones and looking at iPads and doing homework all day long. That's why their heads are sitting forward. Standing at wall will help bring it back. These standing arm circles. This doesn't necessarily look like a difficult exercise. You're just, putting your arms out and doing some circles. But what happens is it starts to reteach the hips and the shoulders how to work together in their interdependency, and also it reminds the shoulder how to function as a ball and socket rather than just a hinge, which we get when we're hinged forward with our phones. Our shoulders forget this ball and socket function. Wall stork. So we go back to the wall and start standing against it again, and we're working on getting the hips back into a parallel position. So if your kid has one leg that's shorter than the other, or one leg that's longer than the other, well, good news, that the bones are the exact same size. What's different is the pelvis and the hips, and where they are connecting into where that ball and socket are going in is already misaligned. So the hips or the legs seem to be longer, but really you just get some bone, your femur twisting, and your knee having to take all the brunt of that hip elevation disparity is what we call that. So wall stork helps to reduce those hip elevation disparities. Standing elbow curls. Well, I was talking how our shoulders get stuck in this hinge. Well, so they get stuck in thinking that they almost only operate as a hinge, but then they forget how to work properly as a hinge when we do something like put our hands above our shoulders. So standing elbow curls just reminds our shoulders they can operate as a hinge up here too. And there are uh, it's all logical things that we sequence very specifically in order to allow muscular compensations and joint dysfunctions to become more powerful, and eventually we work those out and restore proper function to the musculoskeletal system, and that will eventually allow your pain symptoms to subside when your bones and your joints and your muscles are all functioning properly. I can keep on going through these exercises and explaining, exactly what they do, but I think it's kind of becoming maybe a little apparent that when we see something wrong with the posture, we figure out a way to move the body in such a way that it reminds the body, the musculoskeletal system, how to hold that in a proper posture again. I've been going for about 12 minutes here. Uh, I don't. I haven't got any questions that I can see so far. Let me just double check. I'm not missing something here. Uh, no, doesn't look like it. Well, this is my first time, and Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will fixing the posture of all the kids in the world or anything like that. But I guess I'll start signing off here. What I really want the big takeaway from for anyone watching this to be, I see there are a couple more viewers now. So if someone just popped in, please feel free to ask me a question. You can subscribe, wait just a minute, and it'll go ahead and put it. It'll let you ask me any question you want. If you're watching on Facebook, I really encourage you to go to YouTube, sign in, and you can ask me questions there. Just because the fact that that phone's all the way over there, I can't answer questions on Facebook Live, really, unfortunately. Maybe I'll find there's some software later on that'll let me do those cool things, but got to start somewhere. So I'm going to hold on for just a couple more minutes since I do see some number of people watching bouncing up and down. The book is, oh, I do have a question there. How do I ease neck pain? So the first piece of advice I would have would be to get this book. The largest piece of advice I would tell you to get this book and just go to the chapter on neck pain and start trying those exercises right there. It's chapter 10, I think, is neck pain. Oh no, chapter 11, I think, is neck pain. But that's okay. Let me go ahead and demonstrate a couple things that you could try right away. So if I had a wall here, let's go ahead and move this back. So I'll go ahead and move over here. Get the camera pointed at me over here, both cameras. And I think you can see some of what's going on here now. There are a number of easy things that you can do to start to relieve neck pain right away. One would be, imagine I was up against the wall right here. I actually posted a video about this if you have a crick in your neck just a couple days ago. But I'm going to demonstrate that technique again, as well as some additional ones that you can do. So if I wake up and I'm not able to move my neck quite all the way, the first thing I'm going to try, because I've been able to get to some more advanced exercises, is what's called a triangle with neck rotation. To do a triangle with neck rotation, I would stand against the wall with both my feet pointing straight ahead. Now, when your feet are pointing straight ahead, you actually want to look at this line between your second and third toe. That's your toe. That's your toe going straight ahead. And now you can, from here, make sure that your knees and hips and shoulders are in alignment. and your head is resting against the wall. If you got a big butt like me, you might have to take like a couple inches away. But if you don't have, if you can just stand against the wall, that's fine. Now, what you're going to do is take a large step out to the side and turn this foot parallel to the wall. At that point, put both your arms out with your palms touching, back of your palms touching the wall, and you would begin to move your arms to vertical positions and look up. I'm getting blinded by the sun here, so I might get a little bit off balance. But you're going to look up and keep everything against the wall, and then begin rotating your neck and really reaching towards the ceiling and the floor with each arm respectively. And I would do initially about 10 repetitions of this neck rotation, and you only do it in whatever range of motion is comfortable and pain-free. If that's this much, well, you know what? By the 10th one, maybe you'll be doing this much. And by another set, maybe you'll be doing this much. But you go slowly and do a set of about 10 of those, and then we can start and do it on the other side. If we do a unilateral exercise like that, unilateral means asymmetrical, we always go to the other side and do that same unilateral exercise, mirror image, in order to keep our body bilateral, because we are bilateral bipeds. So I gotta make sure I have this foot parallel. Then I reach. That's really bad in the sun here. Reaching towards the ceiling, and I keep my arms stretching and my neck rotating. And it's a lot easier it's harder and easier against the wall in some ways, but especially if I have to keep my eyes closed, it's easier against the wall. Anyways, you would come out of that after 10 rotations. You can go back and forth, do up to four sets of 10 on each side. And just after doing that right there, my neck is cracking and popping and releasing. It feels great. Another great thing for neck pain, this is what's called a slant board. And you're going to stand on this. And you're going to say, well, John, why the hell are you having me standing on something if my neck's hurting? Well, believe it or not, a lot of neck pain comes from the feet and the hips. We're all connected. The body's a unit. There's no mystery. But if we want to work on neck pain, a great place is to start with one of these against a wall. And unfortunately, I don't have the wall here, but I can do a similar demonstration anyways. The same thing as before. I want my butt and my shoulders resting against the wall, heels if possible, and my neck and head resting against the wall. A quick sequence you could do would be to stay here with your feet standing straight ahead, leaning against the wall for about 2 to 3 minutes. If you're just starting out, that might be too much. Maybe you want to get into these next exercises immediately. When I first started standing on this thing a couple of years ago, I could stand on it for like 15 or 30 seconds, even laying against the wall, and I'd be stretching so much back here that I had to get down. But now I can stand here without the wall's assistance. But if I had a wall here, the next thing I would do, would be up here and do some wall glides. The wall glides are just keeping my arms and my neck, or my arms, elbows at 90 degrees, and I'm just going up and letting the fingers touch while the back of the palms would stay against the wall. And I'll just do 4 sets of 10 of those. Now, what is this going to do? This actually helps a lot with balance and with teaching your shoulders not to be responsible for balancing your upper body. A lot of the times when our hips become dysfunctional, our shoulders start doing all the balancing and moving around and whipping our head around, half of our spine around, trying to balance. When you first start doing this exercise, you'll probably find that your hips start wobbling and stuff. But as you go more and more, you'll be able to do this without your hips having to wobble, because they'll be strong enough to handle that stabilization by themselves. And finally, I would do this next sequence, which is an easy one to do as well. I'll start by doing 1 set of 10, looking straight ahead with my backs of my palms against my wall. And I'll just tuck my shoulder blades in and together and release. I'm not shrugging up at the end. I'm tucking in and down. My shoulder blades are going in this motion, in and down. They aren't pushing my back. Look how I'm not pushing out my thoracic spine. I don't want to compensate with my back and my spine to use my shoulder blades. I want to use my shoulder blades to use my shoulder blades, right? So I'm going to just tuck the shoulder blades in and down. I would do 10 of those looking straight ahead. I would do 10 of those looking straight down, or look with my head looking towards my feet. So now I am bringing my neck away from the wall, my head away from the wall, looking down towards my feet to do that same exercise 10 times, tucking the shoulder blades in and together, releasing, not shrugging at the end. We do not want to engage those traps. Now, what I would do next is face my palms towards the wall, put my head back against the wall, tuck those shoulder blades for 10 times. And the last thing I would do, keep my palms towards the wall, let my head hang down again, do a set of 10 of those. Now, that sequence right there is actually something you can find in Pain Free for Women in one of the teen menus. That's where I got it. I was looking through it and I thought, wow, that's a great idea. I tried it. It makes complete sense as to why that's going to help with neck pain when you really look at it. Now, that's just a partial menu. And a full postural therapy routine is going to include much more than just those exercises. But you know what? If I wake up and my neck is hurting and before I can even think about doing anything else, I need to fix that neck pain, those, I think, 4 or 5 exercises, I don't know, however many I just did there, that's exactly what I'm going to do in order to fix that neck pain when I wake up feeling that way. So,
another question.
We got another question. Okay, so Victoria Archbeck is asking, how long before you see results after starting a GOSCU? Well, obviously, lots of people are in different positions, and we need to maybe think about what we talk about as results. So let me tell you about the first time I did a GOSCU. I remember it very well. My dad had bought me this book, The Pain Free, and I was looking at some of the exercises and some of the ones that kind of resonated with how I felt about what I needed, but I didn't really know what I was picking at first. And all the actual menus, I was in so much pain that I looked at a menu of 5 exercises. I was like, I can't even think about doing all 5 of those. Let me try one. So I remember the first one I tried was supine foot circles. Supine foot circles are going to be, they're all over this book. Why can't I find it? Well, I'll just describe it. Supine foot circles is you're laying on your back and you put your one hip up in the air and bend your knees, and then you just start rotating your ankle. And that exercise, it would feel good right in my ankle, but it would start to burn so fast and my hip would hurt, my back would hurt. I was like, okay, I can't do it. And it was a little bit just demotivating at first. I tried another one, which, if I remember correctly, was the isolated hip flexor lift, I think, if I remember correctly, because I thought that at that time I thought my hip flexors were really weak. I didn't understand it, but they were actually a little too strong. But anyways, I started looking at that, and I tried that one. It hurt too. And then I tried the next exercise, static back. And static back it was like the Holy Grail to me, like finding the Holy Grail. 10 minutes into it, I felt my back change. I didn't know exactly what changed, but I felt my lower back release, and there wasn't so much pain, and the nerve pain in my hips and my groin had decreased just a little tiny bit, and I could move my hips around a little more. So how long does it take to get results with a GOSCU? I mean, it can be a minute, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a few weeks, it could be a couple months. But what happens is, you know, we need to think about results in terms of what kind of results do we think are attainable. To me, I didn't even think that I could decrease my back pain ever, and it changed in 10 minutes. And that little change was enough for me to say, okay, there's something to this. I have to figure out what it is. And it took a long time. That was over 2.5 years ago. But it works. And so let's talk about maybe averages. If you are, an average person who is able to, sit at a desk all day long and work, but then you get home and you feel exhausted, and you have some back pain and things like that, but you've never had any serious injuries, I think you'd be very surprised at how drastically your life might change in just the course of a couple months, and how much in just the first week or two you'll start to notice little things about your body that you never knew before. Wait, there's a muscle that moves there? I don't remember feeling that. Well, that's because that muscle hasn't been moving right since you were in high school, probably. It's been dysfunctional, and we start to wake up new muscles and new areas of the body that just reminding them how to work again is all we're doing. And you can start to make those little changes very, very quickly. I don't know if anyone is asking questions on Facebook. My phone is way over there. I can't reach it. If you are on Facebook and you want to ask questions, be sure to visit the YouTube link. You can search Pain Explained via Posture Live on Facebook. It'll give you the event, which has the YouTube link. You can find it on my personal Facebook or search it on YouTube. But you'll need to be subscribed in order to ask me questions that I'll see. Afterwards, if anyone asks questions on the Facebook stream, I can go back and look at that later today or something. But let's see. I guess I don't have anything else that I'm going to go on about for too long here. Except I just want to cover why Pete Egoscue has 4 different books, I guess. So this was the first one, the Egoscue Method of Health Through Motion. This is kind of the general all-around guide to the philosophy of postural therapy. It has 22 different exercises in there that can change your life, hands down. And you don't even need all 22 to get started. It depends on, he'll explain how to figure out which ones you start with. You'll learn how to diagnose your own postural deviations. That's a great place to start. If you are suffering from like severe acute pain and you have no idea what to do about it and the doctors aren't helping you, and you've tried physical therapy, you tried everything, this is the book you want to pick up. This is a guide to what do I do if I have knee pain and my knees are internally rotated? What if my knees hurt and they're externally rotated? What if my back hurts? What if my neck hurts? What if my shoulders hurt? There are tons of things you can try in here to get you started. This is just called Pain Free by Pete Egoscue. And this is even though postural therapy is not a symptom-driven discipline, meaning that while I care very much that my clients are experiencing pain, the exact location is often irrelevant. If I improve overall posture, pain will decrease. That's it. They are negatively correlated. So that this is a symptom-driven approach to kind of appeal to people who are in so much pain that maybe the exercises in here are too difficult, or they can't. They're the kind of results-oriented people who really want their therapy approached at from that pain angle. Now, then there's Pain Free at Your PC. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you are hurting at your desk every day, this might be a good place to start, just learning about why that ergonomic chair with all the levers and knobs and your ergonomic keyboard and your screen height. Even then, you say, I'm going to sit there with perfect posture. And then you write like 3 sentences into your email and your typing over your computer like this, and you think, well, what the hell happened? I was sitting like this. Well, your body, your musculoskeletal system can't maintain this. Yeah, your brain can for a few seconds, but start chewing some gum and you're going to be like this, right? So that's a great place to start for people who know that their habits at work are causing them issues in other parts of their life, as well as issues at work. And finally, the one I was talking about before, pain-free for women. It's not just for women. 95% of what's in here is going to apply to every man on the face of the planet too, especially any man who has kids. If you have kids, you need to buy this book. You need to consider this information, and you need to understand what the long-term consequences of not teaching your children how to take care of their musculoskeletal system can be, because I promise you they can be dire. And with that, I guess this was my first live Q&A on Pain Explained via Posture. I'll be doing this on a more regular basis, and hopefully I start getting some more questions. But I really hope that anyone who did stick around or who watches this in the future finds some of this information useful. If you want to get in contact with me, you can visit www.theposturepainconnection.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. You can also go to bit.ly/chataboutposture, and that will take you to a link where you can chat with me one-on-one and figure out what the next best steps for determining how your postural therapy might be. Even that doesn't have to be taking sessions with me. It could just be which one of these books should I start with? Well, I think everyone should read all 4 of them, but yeah, you got to start somewhere. That's it. I'm John Clark with the Posture Pain Connection. I'm a certified postural alignment specialist. I hope you got something good out of this, and I hope that you have a functional and pain-free day. But if you don't, be sure to contact me.
This one's done.
This one too.